Here we go. Meeting is being recorded. Okay. Cheers to voodoo as a key engine of the Haitian Revolution and therefore the establishment of the first Black Republic in the modern world.
You are now watching Mind You Media.
Mind You! We can't use that. We don't have the rights. You are now streaming Mind You Media.
Okay, shall we start with the first scene of the episode?
Yes,
it's the
please.
Conclusion of the to remind us, it's the conclusion of Ms. Ashley's housewarming, seaside in the city.
And everybody keeps butchering it. Now, what is it now? Modern Bohemian? Now, what is it now? Unique. Eclectic.
Unique. It's unique. It's just Ashley.
Four heads. What is it now? Who knows? Nothing compelling. I'll say that. Yeah. Anybody want to kick us off there, or shall I prompt us?
Well, we had Robin come. She was put on the spot yet again about where she stands. Now, Katherine, I believe you look confident, or should we compliment?
Huh? I will admit, I said that Robin was feeling confident. It was not during the altercation, the back and forth with Giselle. It was after she made a fool of herself. When she was at the drink cart, she kind of doubled down on everything she had said, except this time with a less hostile audience with Nneka, who seemed eager to corroborate Robin's lies.
I believe she began with, so yeah, how are you feeling with everybody like telling you how you should live your life and what you should do?
Ingratiating much?
Exactly. And it gave Robin the perfect platform to be like, yeah, thanks. I'm a tough person. So I'm fine.
Yeah. And you know what was triggering or whatever is just that, how does Nneka end that little discussion with like, I mean, you obviously know what you're doing. It's your life. But I'm like, talk about fucking meaningless platitudes, okay? What do you mean she obviously does not know what she's doing to everyone watching? How dare you fix your lips to say the opposite of what is true? There's nothing more triggering to me than that. Like, you're just using words to ingratiate yourself, right? You're just like trying to comfort this idiot in her like time of despair, and you don't even bother to marshal meaningful sentiments to do it. Just like, you obviously know what you're doing.
Well, you know what's obvious about her knowing what she's doing? She's another light-skinned person that Nneka can go and curry favor with. So it's obvious by your skin color that you are competent.
Is that it? She's just like assuming her competence because it's obvious because you're light skinned, you're on Potomac, so you're obviously successful. Katherine, what's the embellish hat?
That's so true. I gotta whip out my embellish hat. I was gonna wear it the other day, but the micro suede was gonna get messed up.
Not the micro suede.
Let me tell you, I feel like Robin, being the rational, quote unquote, the logical five that she is sitting there thinking, thank goodness I have this a third party who can come look with fresh eyes at how right I am. Meanwhile, Nneka has to be watching the show, at least knowing the history of the show. She knows Robin's a fool. And I think she's still,
Does fool recognize fool?
So we've concluded Nneka is a fool. Well, yeah. I don't think it's too soon to say. She's an idiot. You know what? She's probably not an idiot. She's just fucking wildly pathetic. Just like, desperate. She smells desperate to me. To BH.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like I feel like we were just saying how the last couple of people new to Potomac have just reeked of desperation and thirst in a way that, like, back in the day, I mean, think about Monique. Monique came on and she came kind of with a force in her own right. Now, no one in this room, I believe, loves Monique, got any love for Monique. She turned out to be a despicable, nasty, compassless, nasty person. But
and it should be noted that that's not how we started our relationship with
Right.
her, right? So it's not like we were writing her off. Just to let the record reflect, she eventually showed her ass, and then one could not sustain any love for her at all after that.
she dropped with like a side though. Like I don't know, she dropped with like a force of something. You know, that first meeting between her and Giselle, like she was peeping something that she wanted to resist or at least define herself like against. And it made for a compelling new character.
Yes.
Mina and Nneka, like y'all aren't giving anything but like, ooh, can I be friends? Can I be on the show? Ooh, can I?
Yes, exactly. And the story we know about her thus far, it just doesn't really add up other than someone who is just thirsty to be on the show. I'm from LA. I moved here. We're moving to Potomac. Why are you in Potomac? Like, there's not really anything I think that
Well,
would
she said
explain
her
it.
husband, she said her husband's job, but like maybe he lived there. That story remains to be unfolded, but yeah, obviously it's like she moved there for an opportunity. She's an
Yeah.
opportunist. We have already marked her as an opportunist. But wait, I just realized we skipped something, because what we start the episode with is them still at the table. What about that? Like, because it's not until after that discussion is had that Robin and Nneka go to the drinks bar and Nneka does her ass kissing.
Well,
but before then,
our
we
other
get
favorite opportunist is at work.
Oh yeah, because right, they return to the table having had their private conversation where Ashley is undoubtedly spreading her lies, and then she's like, "Dr. Wendy, tell us about your show."
It's
Like she walks her then and there in her face. By the way, quick story: when I was in high school, we had a drama teacher who had recently acquired her PhD. Okay, this was an evil, racist woman. Okay, she had a son that attended the school. I don't even remember the son's name. Whatever. We hated her. I'm gonna just put her name out there. It's Dr. Bustrin. Okay, after she is awarded her now I'm mocking the doctor of philosophy that I have. She's like, I worked too hard. Call me by my title, Dr. Bustrin. So she compels us to call her Dr. Bustrin. When I say, like, let me not even go into details. Evil, racist white lady. Okay,
And this was your elective. You chose to be in her class.
am I not an off-Broadway rascal? One only learns this when they're already in her class, right? And there used to be this white girl in my class who was hilarious. She would stroll in 15 minutes past the hour, a girl after my own heart, and she'd be like, "Doctor, oh doctor."
Not doctor.
Question. And just like every opportunity she had to say doctor, she just called her doctor. She didn't call her Dr. Buster. She was like, "Doctor, I have a question, doctor. Doctor, would you?"
Not the melodrama in her voice. Doctor.
It was drama class. Anyway, but that is effectively what Ashley was doing to Wendy just then when she said, "Dr. Wendy is back." Like,
because you know what she says? She says, "No, Dr. Wendy has a show. Tell us about it." And then Wendy goes on to be like, you know, it's for a certain educational level of understanding. And Ashley said, "Well, I mean, I probably wouldn't even understand it. That's trolling. That's not your friend. That's trolling."
But to a point Katherine made earlier, they cut something. I'm like, they cut something. The reason why I'm getting frustrated is because I suspect foul fucking play. Just some of the viewers may know that there is a new producer who has been promoted to the level of like EP for the show, and his name is Eric. Okay, he's a black man. If you like are searching through images related to the show, you'll see he was at that housewarming, and he took a photo on the porch, the swing bench or whatever, and Ashley's front porch with all of the women excluding Wendy.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's behind them in the photo. Y'all have seen this photo?
I have not.
Yeah, like he's one of the women, and
Yep.
he was on some fuck shit last season. Like I strongly suspected his helping advance and concoct the narrative of Chris's, sexual assault on Giselle, and
That's
it's giving like
Candace runs and asks for him when Giselle has her sitting down on the floor at the little dance studio. She's like, "Where's Eric? Somebody give me Eric." And it sounds like,
and then she's like, after she speaks with him, she said, "I will," like she's getting upset with him. I don't like the cut of this man's jib. I don't know what the fuck he's up to. I do not like the cut of his jib. The way he seems lit to kiki with the light skins specifically. And it makes me now just like, I'm going to be vigilant about production and their cutting, because Wendy did not go from them raising the show to her being like, it's for smarts only. She was provoked. Somebody said something
Exactly. Exactly. That's what didn't make sense. Even if you don't like the way that Ashley talks, brings things up, it just didn't. You don't ask a question, have the question answered. You have this weird pause. Like it was all, it just, in terms of reality TV storytelling, even to a lay person's eyes, you can see that was off. It was not done right, and we were missing something.
Yeah, they cut it off.
He's modeling the show after like viewer sentiment. So it's like, oh, if popular sentiment thinks that Wendy has elite tendencies, we're going to like cut it such that you see that and like continue to feed the masses their sense of things.
Yeah, but production is also trying to do a Wendy focused orientation. Like you can see that unfolding this season. Like something, they know the discourse shifted after Mia's assault on Wendy last season, and people were hip to it. By the end of the season, they were just like, Candace, Wendy, Karen, Queens, right? So they already know the edits that are necessary this season. They already know the characters they're gonna build. And if you look at the arrangement, they still have Wendy on the fucking end.
Yes, they do.
But anyway, it's just like, that was very weird, because it's more like fodder for the Wendy's and elitists. Like all of them are elitist. The most elitist, and they tend to be elitist about less meaningful things, okay? Like completion. Okay, we already know that. So don't put this in Wendy's lap. And I personally loved her response to Mia, because Mia is a little nasty ass troll, and she's stupid. Okay,
she's dumb.
You're not smart. Dumb. As someone once said, you're not smart. Was that Mimi talking to Phaedra? Somebody on Twitter was a similar instance, but you're not smart. Okay. And quick with the tongue as well. But the point stands, because Mia was like, you see, you always want to talk about women's empowerment, but then you'll be the first one to bring a woman down. And Wendy said, you're an idiot.
Like that, right? I can't uplift you.
Literally, I can't uplift you. You're too stupid.
I love it, because it's like the way that she structured the intervention. She was like, I can't uplift you. And you would think she would be like, because you're like too down low. But she's like, because you're just slow. You're just
no, exactly. It's just because you're down low. And because this was a key instance of like it's actually confounding to me how people work like this. Like Mia would be like, see, you always, it's like, now, where did that non sequitur come from? What are you talking about? First of all, I've been billing myself as somebody who always wants to uplift women. That's not what we think about Wendy. That's not how she's marketing herself. So where are you getting that from? It's gaslighting 101. So what is a queen gaslighter? She would just go, what's in my bag? She'd be like, I heard you were Mexican. And you're like, oh.
All right,
like, where'd you get that from? And she's like, she's trying to coerce you to engage with her on her stupid ass made up terms that she literally just pulled out of her goddamn bag. And you're like, no, I will not. That's why it was like a beautiful response, because it was like, and I will double down on what I said, and I meant what I said, and I'll say it again.
And notice it worked. Mia, what can you say to that? Like, not only do you rebuff her terms, you reveal you're an idiot. So shut up, please.
Alpha matrix.
Mia's like,
you love to fucking see it, because fuck her. Okay. We also should address that you know, what's happening now as somebody raises Giselle's dissenting from Robin, when somebody raises it in the public group, that constitutes a crisis for their fucking friendship, because we know Giselle cannot countenance dissent among her ranks, right? Like, that's why she didn't have that conversation in front of everybody. She called Charisse and Ashley, two people also pretending to be Robin's friend. Okay, fine. Charisse is maybe a real friend to Robin, whatever real friend means to her. But she did not intend for it to be raised among the others, because Giselle does not believe, although she has broken this rule many times, Giselle does not believe that friends embarrass each other in front of their frenemies.
Certainly has transgressed that belief herself.
She has, but you can tell it's a tightly held principle.
Yes.
She just defies all the time.
Because she's the law and it's transgression.
That's right. That's what Kristen says about eights, y'all.
I was like, that's really resonating with me.
And no less than Giselle is evidence of that. But she's like, you know, well, to be clear, and like she I mean, we could argue she's trying to cut Robin off, but really Robin is misarticulating what Giselle's point was, right? You were adamant to tell me, like, she's going hard for her, and Giselle's like, are you about to betray me in front of this group? Yes. Is that what you're about to do? Betray me? So then the first chance she gets, what does Giselle do? She pivots to like, what? Reinstall the legitimacy and strength of her friendship with Robin, and then B, to be like, and if you were doubting it for a moment, Robin, don't forget the one bond we share, which is attack a common enemy. Yes. Whoever I decide is the enemy. That's Giselle's, you know, ultimate position. And so it's Karen, right? I told Karen she needs to apologize to you.
Yes.
For what, Ho?
That was, why?
For what? What would Karen apologize to you for? Like, you could, it's another, I mean, quite like Mia, it's another instance of pulling some shit out of your motherfucking bag that makes no goddamn sense. You just, you know, like, it's funny when people bring up this, and it might be a matter of production cutting randomly in ways that are just like, that's not coherent with the story. But it's funny when people pull shit out of their bag that just like, it does not cohere with the way the conversation had been going, then you can smell how desperate it is, right? Like, it is a very anxious attempt at doing something.
Well, okay, and this is why I'm frustrated with production, because you can tell that anxious attempts were made. You can tell some people were making more sense than others. And it's like, we know that the barbecue is like a main event that will, you know, could reverberate throughout the season, just like Karen's garden party at the beginning of last season. Like, stop editing this. Let it be something that we can really sink our teeth into, you know?
Yeah.
But instead, I think everyone left more confused. Viewers left more confused. Like, wait, was it maybe who wasn't talking to whom at the table when it's, you know, Giselle, Mia, Wendy? Like, who initiated this? That's not really clear, and we're left to make that decision for ourselves.
And it's also unnecessary for them to have stretched the housewarming through 2 episodes. Like, if
they're not going to show us. Yeah,
if you're gonna keep cutting, then it's like, just give us one big block where, like, we didn't need that front matter on the first episode that was just dropping into Ashley's house. We're about to spend a whole episode at her house. You don't need the little kids falling off the countertops and none of that.
that was different.
Get them out of here. Are you trying to help your brother?
That's sweet.
I'm gonna kill him. No, but for real.
Okay, and then
trust the viewers to be able to, like, give us our capacity to analyze.
Well, they're not gonna do that. They certainly ain't gonna trust the viewers.
But let me just say one more thing to Ellen's point about, like, okay, if Charisse is a friend to Robin, who even knows? Robin continues to show that she doesn't actually want friends. And so it's like Giselle can say what she wants, try to intervene, and it does not matter. Like, you might as well change the subject because she's not hearing this, and she doesn't.
And I think that's the point of realization that Giselle is at, hence why she said, but I told Karen to apologize to you, so I would like my credit. I've dropped it now. And you know, like, what happens, this is a key opportunity to reflect on an incident from, I believe, 3 seasons ago, where Ashley was newly pregnant, or like one of her babies had been born. Okay. And they're at the dinner table. Monique is still on the season. And this is like the last season we get of Monique. And this is Monique at her absolute ugliest, ingratiating herself to Giselle, her once enemy. Okay. The woman who continually disrespected her repeatedly, season after season, out of pure jealousy. So Candace shows up at that table. Candace shows up at that meal to be like, yeah, cheers to Ashley and her pregnancy, or her new baby, whatever. It's the baby had been born, I'm pretty sure. And they are like, I think Giselle leads or Monique leads. Monique and I have been talking, and Candace, we think you owe Ashley an apology. The reason Candace owed Ashley an apology is because of the references to all the Coronas Ashley was drinking in the name of a desire to have a child, right?
Are you trying to have a baby, or are you trying to have a Corona? I believe was the quote.
And then Candace nods and goes, we do need to have she goes, we do need to have a conversation. Like, and she's like, oh, okay, you believe I owe her an apology. Okay. Like, taking it in, like, yes, Ashley, I do believe we should have a conversation. I would like us to get to a better place. I think we should have that conversation at a separate time. This is probably not the appropriate place for it. Robin, sorry. With it. But what happens this time? When Karen goes, okay, Robin, let's go have our private chat. Everyone's like, okay, yeah, go ahead and go inside and have the private chat.
The rules.
And I am still, do I have a chip on my shoulder about all the times that Candace needs to have been vindicated for these past instances of bullying that people were fucking sleeping on? I do.
She does.
And redemption will be served, okay? Like, the point is, when she tried to do that, like, not just the cast members, the viewers too. Everybody, oh, Candace is so annoying. You don't see her being bullied. But Karen noted it. Karen noted it then too. They will, she calls it a gangbang. She calls it a gangbang. These gangbangers, okay, will fucking jump on you if given the opportunity, when they smell blood in the water. And that's like repeatedly what has been the ugliest tendency among the women of Potomac. It's just like everybody follow after one little light-skinned demon and just fall in line. Like, if you can't beat them, join them, Monique.
Yep.
What a tragedy.
And that's why you have to respect Candace's ongoing refusal to not comply. Like, oh, is she so She refuses to fall in line with white supremacy. You're mad at her for it? Hello.
And white supremacy is dumb. Like, that doesn't, Robin sits at the table at this backyard party and is like, oh, presumably that conversation with her, Sharice, Ashley, and Giselle was at least a couple days before this. After that time, your reflection on it is, you know what, let me bring up, I was thinking about it, and Giselle seemed to be mad that I wasn't mad at Juan, but you know what? The consensus is we don't care. Like, Robin, you didn't process anything. You didn't have any updated things. You literally led at the table with, I think people seem to think I'm holding something back, or like that I don't have any fear saying anything, but like, you're not offering any new takes. You're not offering any new analysis. It's not seeming like anything penetrated in that conversation, or if it did, your defenses went right back up. Like, that's dumb, Robin. Like,
she's asking to leave the show, frankly. If you ask me, she said expressly, I feel sorry for people wasting their time worrying about me and my boring life. I said, okay, bye. Bye.
Bye. She needs to leave.
Let's go.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right.
But the producers
get gone.
The producers are committed to keeping her on, and they have more and more scenes with her and Juan playing around the dead snake. Like,
okay, should we make our way to that? Okay, we'll come back to Nneka because there is obviously much more to be said, and we're just gonna come back to Nneka in a moment. But I would really like us to take up this moment, the most affection we've seen from Juan to Robin, I think,
in 8 seasons,
in the series, in the franchise, in the franchise's history. Okay,
that's the most prolonged contact they've had, physical contact.
And what is he
He
doing?
was touching. He was.
What is he doing? Picking her up to throw her into roadkill. Okay.
You scared?
Go be with your family. The
But he's so nice. He does such nice
The
things for
gator.
people, right? He's
King
a
among
good
kings.
It's so bad.
He's
Like,
too friendly.
you know, and then you know what's so like it was a key scene now that we're all alert to it to see Robin's dynamic with him, right? Like, and you know, I haven't developed this theory yet, but I feel like given we talked a little bit about this 2 episodes ago, but I feel like given Robin's background, the like respectability people she comes from, what Juan offered her early in her teen years was not only an opportunity for defiance, like I'm gonna be a basketball player too, and not like follow the rules of propriety of light-skinned girlhood, but also like a chance to prove she's Black to herself. Because when she gets around Juan, Robin's idea of like Blackness is just like it's kind of like hood nigga. It's like, can I model myself after Juan? Right? Like she's like, hey yo. Her legs are flailing. Okay. She's like, hey, don't put up and it's like,
chill.
That's why you can't do like romance. Like that's why Robin can't be a full person because she's living in a performance of Blackness whose bounds are like this. And I won't blame her for that, right? Like her family probably had bounds this narrow, and then she said, ugh, and tried to reverse them. But an equally as narrow picture, right? She like doesn't know how to be a full Black person. She can only be a trope of a Black person, which is why her and Giselle got their life. This is not an endorsement of Katie and Ashley's mixed trickery, but Giselle and Robin got their life first season trying to tell them that they're less Black than us. Like they were lit for those women to be less Black. I was cheering them on the whole fucking way because fucking Katie and Ashley were very tragic figures those early seasons. But when you think about it, and when you reflect on how Robin shows her ass later this episode, oh no, you don't have real allegiances to Blackness, which is also why it was cool with you when Michael Darby showed up at Bethany Beach, having just been a predatory fucking creep, tried to take his pants off at Karen's boat soiree.
Oh, I forgot about the order of those events.
Yes. He was at the boat soiree. This is season 1, around between episodes 3 and 7. He tries to take his pants off on the boat. It is like a lovely little couple's evening. Like on the on the Chesapeake. Okay, it's cold outside. He goes, hey, you know, he's like a little
in the style of Chucky.
In the style of Chucky. Katherine, give it to us.
I know you. I can't.
Take it away, Katherine.
I can't. This takes his pants off, and then right then and there, Ray is like, "Oh, is the girls only trip? So no men?" And Ash is like, "No, if you have a protrusion in your pants, you're not invited." What happens later? They're at the gay club at a drag show hosted there that night. Surprise! Who comes up behind me, shoving his face on my mouth to swallow me whole? It's Michael. Who then later makes a joke. Oh, I thought I was gonna be one man around 7 ladies. Like, okay, he's a fucking predator. He's a racist little nasty predator, and
he gets off being where he's not welcome. It's like violating men. He gets off violating women. He gets off insinuating his way into the places where he's excluded. He's like, no, my domain is infinite.
Yes, and then having already been present for when Ashley said no men involved. Oh, but I will spend the night here in this house with these 7 women who were invited to the. Oh, you feel uncomfortable? Ashley said, I hear that you're upset. I don't care. That's what she said to them. When they were like, Ashley, this is weird. You told us it was a women's weekend, like girls only. We're all here. We did not plan for Michael to be here. Why can't he stay somewhere? My husband did a nice thing for me by surprising me. No, your entitled slave master husband thought he owned all of these women. He had property in the 7 women of Potomac and showed up, therefore making them uncomfortable. Like, Giselle, everybody was uncomfortable. Okay.
Mhm.
Even Robin, until she said, I mean, you want to hang out and drink? Okay. And again, in the bounds of her narrow conception of how to be a Black person in the world, right? It's just like, it's like frat boy in Black. That's literally it for her.
It's like Robin is saying with that statement, like, I don't know why these sad people would be interested in my boring life, that like all the insinuating that people are doing into her like more intimate complexity, she's just like, no, that's boring. Don't look at it. No, I don't look at it. No, you don't get any glimpse. No. And it's like, okay, Robin, well, we've seen the facade, we've seen the exterior, and guess what? It's not compelling. So if you don't have anything else to offer, maybe go.
She needs to go.
The boring life.
She's volunteering to leave. That's what I heard. Frankly, hello, Eric. Take notes. She doesn't want it anymore.
I have never.
Kristen from Providence, Rhode Island, wants to know why you're still here. If you don't
Kristen from Providence.
No, exactly. I've never been one of the people that's like, Robin needs to go, get her off the show. Boring. But now I officially am like, there's nowhere that this story is going.
She's literally insulting us viewers. Like, people care about my life.
Yeah.
You're on the show. We're being obliged to care about your life. Get gone. People have been begging for you for 3 seasons. They've been begging for them to remove Robin. Girl, they're forcing you on us.
From the beginning, a lot of people were just like, why is she on?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. Because they would say it in the Andy would read out those comments at the reunion, like Kristen from Rhode Island wants to know, why don't got that wet boring bitch up here? She ain't bringing nothing to the table.
Yeah, it was clear from the beginning she was bringing nothing except the Juan saga, and she didn't want to bring the Juan saga. So,
or it would be the green-eyed bandits, which is to say she's Giselle's lapdog. That was the discourse for several seasons,
and Ashley has proven herself more than willing to play the number 2. So
she said, I'm ready to
more space for you.
Put me in, I'm ready to go.
You know what else some people pulled up recently talking about the record on Juan and Robin is that hot mic moment where Juan was telling the producers, I don't want to do this anymore.
I just want to be happy.
I want out. He said, I want somebody to spend my life with.
To share. I want to share my life with. I did not know I could feel bad for Juan Dixon.
I know, right?
Oh my gosh. He just wants to share his life.
He's dating.
Who can blame him for his behaviors now?
He's not cheating. He's dating. He's just married right now. He's looking for another. He's looking for someone to leave her for.
Y'all. Now, is that why Robin refuses to hold him accountable? Because she knows good and goddamn well she is giving that man no choice but to go pursue companionship by other means.
Maybe that's why she said, what, you want me to be mad at him? Like, she's almost saying, no, he has good reasons.
Yeah. No, and I think that was abundantly clear to all of us, but it's like sometimes it leaves view. Like when your man is embarrassing you in the streets, it's like you're just like, what? But actually, when you think about it, fair. Carry on, Juan. Carry on.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Katherine. That poor man.
He just wants to live and die. She is not letting him live.
She's not. Well, he's found his way anyway.
He's throwing her to the snakes.
Okay. Shall we proceed? Do y'all have comments on the Giselle and Grace and daughter Grace scenes?
I just like to see her interact with them. Yeah, and you know, I think to your point, Grace, as cute and sensible as she seems to be in the process of becoming, it's like the makeup. Did every hue lead her wrong?
It never got off the ground, so that's kind of probably the issue.
Every hue but the right one? I don't know. Like, it's like, girl, why is your foundation so light?
To clarify, what we're talking about is Grace matching, and it's not the most egregious example I've ever seen, but if we're talking about close reading here, it's like, that's not her complexion shade. And it was actually, I think, worse in preceding seasons. The only cause for concern. And she's a baby, she's learning makeup, all of these other qualifiers, right? Like things that we need to like keep in mind as we talk through this. But the other reason to talk about it, and we'll get there, is skin bleaching. Scary word. But that's not what's at play here necessarily, but certainly like Giselle as the emblem of colorism among the housewives, because she is the most forceful. If you ask me, she I don't even know what Giselle, I can't even bring it forth from the record, but Giselle reeks of colorism. Okay. Yeah. And it's just like not nice to see an otherwise like self-assured, smart, clever, beautiful, amazing one of her daughters. And this is true about all three of them. They're all those amazing things. It's not nice to see what might be a possibility that she's going to internalize some of mommy's, destructive ideas. Like that's sad for me.
I even like when I saw that scene, it reminded me of times when Giselle herself has been caught with a foundation much lighter than her. Like she's already skin, and her foundation will sometimes not match because the face is much lighter. So it's like your sense of yourself is like can't get light enough as well. Like
how could we forget? The record is in the taglines she has historically opened the show with. Like, I stay pretty by staying in the shade. That was like,
right.
That was literally like last season.
Yes.
So what? Dang, I forgot.
Yeah.
That was so sad.
She literally said that. Like,
producers, look up former taglines.
And I believe she changed it specifically to one that honored her daughters, because her daughters were like, Mom, this is not cool. Like, you are not about to embarrass us by being the definition of colorism walking through these streets. Like, I believe they have enough of a sensibility to challenge Mom on that, because that she wove their names into this season's tagline suggests to me that they're like, Mom, we will continue to show up for the show, like let the producers do their thing, but you're gonna have to make some commitments to us, because we will not carry forward being embarrassed by your bad behavior anymore. Like, that's what I want to believe in my heart of hearts.
Oh my God, it is. The secret to this pretty face is staying in the shade. Dang,
that is heinous.
It's unambiguous, at least. Okay.
It's unambiguous. It only makes sense as like a double entendre because the other meaning you believe in, Damn.
So there's that. I will say, for a woman as guarded as Giselle, she is surprisingly inclined to embarrass herself with her dance moves over and over again, season after season.
Yes.
Should we call that brave, or no?
No, it's not brave, because it's just one of her things in her toolkit of like, this will disarm people. This makes people think I'm open, but I'm actually not, because I won't tell you anything about myself. But you won't notice because I did that little jig.
Because I'm goofy.
She does that for the same reason she's tacky. Like she so believes in her own beauty and compelling that she's like, it don't matter what I wear. It don't matter how I dance.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And it's also akin to another moment from the Bethany Beach trip seasons ago, where Charisse had them do Sister Circle, and you may recall Robin as well.
Wobbin and Ron.
Wobbin shares the touching story of her financial woes, which is actually the friend of theirs who had involved them in some, money scheme, had committed suicide. She actually doesn't say that in that episode, but she begins sobbing. And there's more to think about there. There's something really key to that relationship. Like, Juan and I's best friend, she calls him. And we otherwise don't see Robin cry ever.
Yeah.
But in that same episode, everyone's kind of sharing vulnerabilities. Charisse is talking about her divorce. Karen is talking about her mom's diagnosis of dementia at that stage. And Giselle tells a story, much to the chagrin of the other women, about how she took a laxative before a date and shit on herself. And that was her moment of vulnerability.
Enough.
Damn, I have forgotten that.
That is
really
so disrespectful.
Mhm.
Don't go to the circle.
Yeah,
Call it an
literally.
early night.
Yeah,
Like,
you might as well have said no comment. Actually, people would have probably talked less about that. That's what Katie did.
Be like,
she
Okay.
said no comment.
Katie had already been humiliated because they were talking about her breakup with Russell Simmons, which she had blogged about. So, but Giselle was trying to mock her by reading the blog post out loud. So Katie was just like, "I'm done with you hoes," and she kind of like withdrew.
Okay, that's reasonable.
Yeah. Okay. Should we talk about the skin bleaching now? On the heels of our comment about mismatch foundation. Kristen, I feel like you had a very productive word to offer on this. And maybe you can contextualize where we're coming in with the skin bleaching, because maybe some people are like, skin bleaching, where was that?
Bleaching, where is that?
Where in the episode was the skin bleaching?
Where? Okay, so Wendy, of course, is preparing for her boys' first communion and inviting everyone to come and celebrate with the communion and then brunch afterwards. And we see Wendy's mother this season. I think this is the first appearance of her this season. And she's markedly lighter skinned. I mean, when we first encountered her mom, she was notably lighter skinned, so much at the time that I was like, oh, no, that woman is quite light skinned given how like dark and even Wendy's skin color is. In my mind, I was like, oh, I guess maybe her dad is the darkest skin. It's clear that the mom has been skin bleaching. Now, what format, what kind of process or procedure that's taken, it could be creams, it could be something more intense. But like, I don't know. I think seeing the mom do the blessing at the boys' communion with such an intense, lighter, wider appearance, and so much so she has an off-the-shoulder number to emphasize it. Like she wants to show everyone how comprehensive her job has been. And it just reminded me that it's like the show's issues with like colorism, the nasty ways that like the light skin reign of terror has just been the order of the day on this show for so long, puts us in a position of having to like consistently defend, rightfully so, I think, like the dark skinned characters, Wendy and Candace, the prominent ones among them. And they, Candace gets unfairly maligned and she tends to have a righteous position. Wendy gets unfairly maligned, and it makes it hard to kind of like pinpoint and talk about Wendy's failings or the things that are fair to critique about Wendy too. So it's, colorism is not any Black person's fault. Like it's a product of the colonial situation. It's a product of anti-Blackness, but it's like very sad to see Wendy's mom like with such intense color change. It's also sad and despicable to me, given Wendy's children, like her small, dark brown children, her little tiny girl. Like, how do you make sense out of that? Like, how do you let that little girl look at that woman as grandmother? And then you mentioned the irony of like, this grandmother is like, no, I do the blessing. These are my children. I had them. Yes. It's like, ma'am. So it's like, and then, so I guess the critique that I'm speaking of that like doesn't get enough airtime with Wendy because so much time gets spent defending her is like, ma'am, do you press your mother? Do you like push back on what your mother is up to? Like, it seems like mom rules the day. Like, it seems like mom's influence is total and final, and that Wendy is a like good girl who doesn't speak out of turn or doesn't contest mommy's analysis or mommy's place and position in the family. And at the very least, like, as you mentioned, don't put your mom on TV like that. Like, don't, because that's an endorsement. That's a tacit endorsement, Wendy, that you are kind of making.
At least without talking about it, right? Because partly that's the like, there's the hope I think that people who are skin bleaching are trading on the like, which is how they know to make sure the job is thorough, right? Like trading on the possibility that people won't have noticed, and it feels like that's what we're being asked to do, is to pretend
Yes.
like she's actually light skin, like when it's egregious. You know, I like to say, like, when you assail your body like that, the skin resists, right? Like you can see the like let's just say freckled melanin coming through. You can see the discoloration in her elbows, like, right? Like her elbows remain the original color. There's no, like, these are key difficult spots to bleach out. And it's kind of like, not to mention the stark differentiation in complexion between Wendy and her sister versus her mother, right? It's like it's not missed on the audience, but we're also uncomfortable about talking about it. We're uncomfortable about talking about it because it's embarrassing. Although we shouldn't be embarrassed. I mean, I say that it's not that I don't experience the embarrassment. We shouldn't be. Again, like you put it very well when you called it it's a colonial situation, because skin bleaching, colorism is a phenomenon the world suffers. Whites included, right? Like they will have produced the thing and then become ensnared in it themselves, but obviously we don't care about that. Like, but every non-white community in the world suffers from colorism, but it is nonetheless embarrassing because it is a kind of like unambiguous sign of the internalization of white supremacy.
Yes.
And one needs to name it. Like, Wendy is otherwise committed to like racial justice in the forms, like the liberal forms, fine, but the liberal forms that she tends to advocate in. So it's like, you can't bring your mom on the screen and not talk about it, and at least maintain this like consistent position of somebody who's invested in these, because there was a conversation about colorism. There's a conversation about colorism, like at the end of the season, like, and at least in the interest of like your kids, right? As Kristen points out, because that's the part for me. That's like why, the grace thing is scary to me. Like, please set the babies up to love themselves. Like, the world is going to launch a full frontal assault on their capacity to love themselves. Like, like that is the thing that, having suffered it in the world myself, right? Like, that's how we know there will be a full frontal assault. Like, can we please take care to try to mitigate some of that, like where possible, like
at home, please,
especially when Wendy, right? Like, and maybe she is having those conversations with her kid privately, but if you're not having them on the screen, we don't know. And there are people who are watching who will be affected by it, right?
Yes.
Like,
and Wendy claims, to your point about taking up these liberal positions, she wants to be so high vibration, as she says. Okay. It's like, well, then come on. Like, it was a very odd experience. And odd is not even like, how do you feel when you're being gaslit? It's like a confusing experience to watch as a viewer. Her mother come out as the matriarch figure, giving the prayer, and everyone is looking to her like, oh, like, yes, community mother. And they show all of the other women of Potomac like bowing their heads when this woman is speaking. And it's like, wait, am I seeing what I think I'm seeing?
Yeah, and she's not only skin bleaching, she's also wearing blue colored contacts.
Yep, exactly. She's committed. Yeah.
Yeah, like the truth is, like, as much as one is going to find people watching us, like, and anyone engaged, they're going to feel this like sense of shame and embarrassment that like positions us to be like super judgmental, like, like, which is to say, like, repelled by the practice, like, like, there's a reason for that, because it suggests like Blackness is that which you cannot love to such an extent that you will imperil yourself, right, with chemical agents to lighten your skin, like in the most absurd performance of existence, right? Like, blue eyes on my skin, like, just a picture of it is like, no, we can't buy this. We can't buy this. And her mom insists on being a very like forward-facing figure in her community affairs. And so it's kind of just like, look at me. look at me with my blue contacts and my bleached skin. And it's just like, no, don't do that to us. Like, don't do that because it's all of us. It's not like, Kristen found some comments on Twitter where like some discourse of the individual is being brought up in whatever form. It's not an individual question. We're not talking about individuals here. We're Black, okay? We are Black. Like, there is no individual to speak of. And there's a reason why we all have strong feelings. There's a reason why everybody has been avoiding it. How else does it happen that like there is a collective community avoidance of this question, except in a small corner, and then the person who raises it has to shrink back because people are like, hey, individual matter. We know that's not true. We are moved by the thing. We are affected negatively. It's painful because we all live under the sign of Blackness, right? Like having to suffer what this thing signifies on. It's not, the point is not to disgrace Wendy's mom or to like shame her, but shame is a collective matter. It's a collective sentiment anyway. We're all carrying it. And it's painful to have to like face this expression of self-loathing. There is not a question about it. Okay. Like somebody's like, is it it is self-loathing.
Yes.
And it's not to say she's uniquely experiencing it. We all suffer that. Suffer that. But such an egregious expression of it is always hard to bear. It's hard.
And I think that's why it makes it so hard to bear her silence or anyone's silence on the matter. Like Wendy, because that's your mom and you're the one who brought her to our attention through your presence on the show. So yeah, that's where I'm directing my disappointment. But it's like not in a blame way, but in a, what are you going to say? Like, what can be said about this? And I'm sorry, I'm going to let you go, Katherine, but like, it makes me value Candace as a agent committed to a kind of resistance of anti-Blackness even more, because she has a mother who is, I won't call her like toxic, but she has a mother who would try to over insinuate herself and her authority into Candace's life, and is probably motivated by respectability and striving and a certain kind of like normative adherence. And Candace resisted her live on TV, right? Candace made it part of her story, which was not just a storyline, but was part of like the experience of her life on the show, to be in battle with her mom's like, just like, authority all the time. Like Wendy, you're a grown ass woman with 3 children. Like, you say something to your mother, speak back to her. And then it undermines your authority on the matter on MSNBC when you're talking about George Floyd and protests, when you can't speak back to your mother's intimate expression of this thing.
Yes. And I think that what I was going to say relates to this idea that like Candace had this real battle with her mother on the show. So what makes, I think, Real Housewives of Potomac particularly hard to watch is that, yes, this is supposed to be entertaining, but I think like the self-loathing on this show is so loud. And it's like, but at the same time, we're trafficking in like clowning people. But then it's like, okay, they're like jokes, but then there are real critiques that need to be made. And it's like, where can those real critiques or real conflicts actually occur in the discourse about the show when so much is also like, I don't know, LOL, some random thing.
Yeah. And I think like that's actually what keeps me like very invested in the show, is that like the question of anti-Blackness is always on the table. Everybody is not always raising it explicitly. And as you say, it's being filtered through like what we are compelled to take up as like a cheap joke or like just a kiki of it's the question of anti-Blackness is always present. And for me, it's like I'm watching it also to get the temperature of like, Black social spaces, because where does the question of the ethical come in here? Like, I was heartened to see people like take up Wendy and Candace's position these past couple of seasons when the colorism became unambiguous, but it's always been there. And frankly, a lot of people did not fuck with this show because the colorism was too loud in the beginning. It took the addition of Monique and then Candace for people to go, okay, actually, like there is some resistance to the dominant order happening here, so now I can watch. If they weren't posing it in that way, I understand that that's what was happening. It's like there is now a challenge to the dominant order of like light skins only securing their so-called material wealth, which was like not even happening up there for most of them, right? Like the lightest ones were not thriving materially. But like, yeah, we can't. Anyway, let it be known that we, the three of us, will not participate in the sending underground or the including of what are the like actual politics underneath these scenes and these moments. Like that doesn't serve us. We do not believe that serves us. We're not going to play along even when it's difficult to have the conversation. And there is no clean resolution or easy answer to this. It's painful. We feel ashamed. We are compelled to reject Wendy's mom because it is incredibly painful to have to embrace that as a feature of your social existence, right? Like as a feature of your community, not just our community, but also our community, right? Like that part is uncomfortable. And so we should talk about it. Like who is served by not talking about uncomfortable things? Look at Robin. Do we want to be Robin?
Oh, don't nobody want to be Robin?
Ooh. Speaking of like, if we can just call like the call to action portion of what we're saying is like, Wendy, please raise this. Like, and I think the other part about that's scary is like, Wendy has been showing us that she is disinclined to bring something up short of her being like directly and egregiously attacked, as with Mia and in Miami. Because it's like, what did she say when she was at the bar with Candace and Kiana? She was like, oh, the housewarming was a good vibe overall.
Yeah. Now, who witnessed that episode and believed good vibes were anywhere associated with Wendy? Like, not that she was bringing bad vibes, but it was an attack. It was a hostile.
There were no good vibes. Nobody had. Uncle Lump was like, it's not good vibes in the corner. Like
Uncle Lump said lies are afoot.
like you mean when Ashley brought forward like this little kernel meant to sow discord between you and another Nigerian woman? Oh, you mean how Giselle pretended you literally weren't there the entire time? How Robin pretended you literally weren't there the entire time? How Mia used every tactic in her book of idiocy to try and assail you? Like
how Ashley tried to make you look stupid by introducing a topic of conversation that she knew people were going to try to like clown you about. Like, come on, Wendy.
Yeah, how the children were over there banging their heads on the granite countertop over and over again. Like what was good about it?
Oh,
I just like I would like the record to reflect that this is a pattern that is cause for concern for me with Wendy. Like, but we haven't talked about the Enneagram all episode. My God. Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know if that was a like impressive feat for us, but the point is like what we think is that Wendy is a 3. And like, I thought Monique was a 3. And so this is what worries me about this behavior, because it makes me mistrustful of what you are capable of if you will just smile in the face of the bullshit. If you have a capacity to smile in the face of the bullshit, I worry about what you're going to do when the shit really hits the fan and it's time to stand up.
Yes. 3s don't go, allegedly, they don't go to bad events. They only go to good vibed events. And so it doesn't matter what.
They share that in common with the 7. And by the way, the 7 is always on their way out of an event. Okay.
So it doesn't matter.
If the 3 encounters a bad event, their capacity to re-narrate it as a good vibes event is actually premier.
Exactly. She could be neck high and shit and it would be great.
Yeah. I don't trust reframing like that. Like, and what's it for? And she said, our friend. She said, our friend Ashley. Ken said, that's not my friend.
That's not my friend. Mm-mm.
That's not. And then, and then I think Wendy was too quick to go, fine, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
That's not no friend that you don't even trust she's your friend, or else you wouldn't have sat her down and started that conversation raising, you know what, Ashley, I don't want to feel like you're going to stab me in the back, but it feels like you're going to stab me in the back.
That because what it is about the three, self-betrayal. Big time self-betrayal. And if you can betray yourself, well, then I can't trust you with my feelings. That's for fucking sure. Like, okay. Can we talk about? Sorry.
She can't even get it out. She can't even get it out.
I could have phrased it a number of ways, but can we talk about Mia? Speaking of patterns, Mia and her consistent need to betray her family, her consistent need to use her family to make a fucking dollar. And we get these dollars don't even materialize like that. So it's not even like,
she got the least dollars and she still uses her family as a human shield where it concerns even the smallest petty little shade throwing match. Girl, wasn't nobody invoking her son.
That is what she's doing.
Nobody was invoking. It's not, because it speaks to also just like a level of not being accountable to the game that's being played. Like the game that's being played is shade, we might say. And of course, shade is not neutral, but it's like, girl, Wendy called you out. You couldn't recover a quick enough jab back because, as she mentioned, you are slow. So what? You have to now invoke your son's special education in order to become a sympathetic figure.
And it's 2023. Who doesn't have an IEP? Enough.
Literally.
Like that wasn't, and it's like, okay, so whoever says slow always already says your son. You're calling him slow, you sick fuck.
And that's what was sick about it. And it's one thing to make this reference. I don't use that word because, and even if she just half a line about his IEP, but no, she went so in talking about speech delay, talking about how he's been bullied. Like, let me make 10 minutes of this show about my son's trauma. And it's just like how she did. Let me make every appearance in the first season I'm on about how my mom is a drug addict. Let me make every appearance I'm on about how my best friend from childhood is a leech. Like, no, these people are not your props.
Literally, they are props in her badly narrated story of herself, because what she said about her, like the mom thing, this is a like direct reflection of what she did with respect to her mom the first season she was on. Because as we know where Candace is from. We know the manner in which she engages when she is in battle, in rhetorical battle. So she said, your mama. She said, your mama. She had never met her mother. She had heard nothing. The season had just started. They don't play back the episodes for them before they begin filming a new scene, right? So she just said, your mama. Where are you fucking from that you ain't heard your mama as a quick retort to somebody, something you can pull out of your bag to use that will always land. Then she goes, excuse me. She said, your mama's low budget. My mom is low. Your mom suffers from addiction. What about that? What about that suggest low budget? You're calling your mother low budget, you sick fuck. Once again.
Yes.
But you know what? I just noticed. I don't see her flipping that strategy in conflicts with Giselle, Robin, Karen even. It's Wendy and Candace, the people she knows to be smarter than her.
Yes.
She knows she can't go up against in the face of their shade. So it's like, your mama's low budget. You want to come from my music video? Your mama's low budget. My tongue is quicker. You ain't getting at me.
And do you remember when Wendy's talking about the show at the back to the housewarming, like Mia's looking at Ashley like, and Ashley's like, it probably go over my head. I'm just like, y'all are dripping with insecurity, dripping from your eyebrows with insecurity. Like, enough. Why are they making it so obvious that they're insecure? Like,
yes,
it's weird. And it makes me think Ashley is motivated this season to push a storyline of Wendy as a elitist. Because she's like, you can see the twinkle in her eye. She thinks she's on the verge of a story. This is what Ashley does. Go back and watch each season. Each season, Ashley has an agenda to push, and you can see what it is because that's when she gets a twinkle in her eye, a literal twinkle. She'll be like, went over my head.
I respect it. I respect
her. She done creamed her pants over this. Like, she's so excited for it.
And she starts talking. Let me know if you've noticed this. She starts talking like a baby. Have you noticed that? Nneka said, like she starts using, oh my gosh, please.
No, it's probably more of her black scent. But you can't.
The baby black.
We gonna play it back and turn the volume up because, that's like when she's about to get nasty. That's what she's, and Nneka said, she'll do that. Like,
no. I'm gonna create a reel of this and I'm gonna play it back for the viewers. She has a distinct baby. It's baby. I'm gonna find it.
Okay. Before we
wait, but let me just say there's one thing that just to wrap up the Sun. Mia using her mom was deplorable. Like I hated her when she came on the show because of that. Mm-hmm. But, she has a sordid past with her mom, difficult, the relationship, she's hurt, the mom's hurt. What did your son do to you that you were going to throw him under the bus like that? Like that's so crazy.
Can I remind you briefly last season when I can't remember exactly, she embarrassed him by talking about like his junk or something. Do you remember last year she made like
the other son? Yeah.
Oh, reference to him.
By the way, where is he? Where is the eldest son? I want to know.
That's so true.
She was always treating him like a dirty secret in the first fucking place.
Yep. Yeah.
He was the one compromising Daddy G's money. Like, what happened?
Because he's not G's actual biological son or whatever. Okay. Whatever. I would like to shout out, since we were just on the topic of Ashley and her, libidinal investment, I would like to shout out one Twitter user at Robin D. Marley, aka Alien Superstar, because she noted, and we won't get into this right now. We also talked fuck of a lot about it last episode, but she noted there is something very, all caps, sinister about a woman like Ashley going out of her way to put two Nigerian women against each other like this. It's very intentional and nasty, ! I'm holding back on saying the silent part, but that all caps other half of hers is working all caps hard! Okay.
Come on,
mixed chiggery. That's what we said.
That's mixed chiggery.
Call it for
what is this woman's name? Marley?
Robin D. Marley.
Oh, okay, Robin D. Okay.
It's the truth.
And while that, was the focus of our closery last episode, okay, this episode, Nneka herself is giving us abundant reason to hate her on her own fucking terms. Little tragic asshole. Okay. It's tragic.
Truly. I mean, the thirst, to take it back to introductions to the show, like, Nneka, you are foaming at the mouth for a place of security on the show. You are gladly taking up Ashley's bait, chomping down her little apple of discord so that you can run the bone, sorry to mix metaphors, all up and down the street, And now you're ingratiating yourself with Robin's tragic ass, another tragic hoe, okay? In order to get standing. You don't go to Robin if you want standing.
She can't give it to you.
Yes.
She can't give it to you. She don't got it like that. She doesn't have the juice for it.
Right. Running to the wrong places.
That's who that's who calls the shots. It's Giselle. She went to the wrong person, frankly. And okay. I want everybody to remember back to grade school. Remember that Black girl who you were probably new to the school, okay? And you said, a Black girl to be friends with. And you notice every time you tried to get close to her, she didn't try to play you. And then when you look that way, you see, oh my God, you're bending over backwards to be close with the whites, but I'm trying to be your friend and you don't want it with me. That's Nneka. I see her coming from a mile away, okay? And I'm re-traumatized all over again by that. Talk about betrayal. I'm an 8, okay? It's a theme of my life. I feel betrayed, okay? Like by a figure like that, right? Like what? There are no white women on this show, but who is she running up after? The white-looking ones.
And we just saw that story you rendered staged in microcosm at Ashley's housewarming, because Charisse meets her and is titillated, drawn in probably by the
she's not interested in Charisse at all
of her white girl performance. She said, "Oh, I like her." She's laughing at all her jokes. She's laughing at her way of speaking. You know what? Nneka has
to borrow her little fan. Did you notice that?
Yes.
And those earrings are yours today. You wore them today. Can still be mine tomorrow.
And what does Nneka say? She said, "No, I'm stealing your back from you. Okay, no, I don't want to be your friend, black girl. I'm gonna go run to the closest proxy for a white woman, Giselle. I mean, sorry, Robin. Can't even keep them straight."
No, it's true. And it's like, okay, so she's like, we're gonna have a cocky in blah, 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 whatever, right? So this is the realization of a cocky, a cox. I don't
she said cocky.
Cocktail.
Oh, okay. I remember it when she said that, and I was like, what is that? Is that like an Australian thing? We're taking it back to Oz?
To quote me, it's giving Valley Girl too much.
Exactly.
So she leads by saying that Wendy's family is being aggressive towards. We already know that to be a watchword for colorism on this goddamn franchise, and you know it too because you studied well before you showed up. Okay, you studied each and every episode before you got here. So what is the story? The story is that her cousin is close friends with Wendy's sister, presumably. They have some familial relation. It's not Nneka and Wendy directly, because Wendy probably would not disavow her entirely if they had a real relationship, right? Like we can safely say that. And Nneka's not overstating what it is to us, at least, right? But clearly something is happening behind the scenes that we don't know about. Is it likely that Nneka is using her relationship to Wendy's family to get on the show? Yes. Sure. Is it likely that she actually was consorting with Ashley to stage this, and like Nigeria versus Nigeria war, right? Yes, it's very likely.
She admitted it to as much when she said, when I was having trouble conceiving, I went to the doctor and they said, you're above average, as I am with most things. It's like, oh, that means you're telling us you can only win. Like that's, you know what I'm saying? She's positioning herself as the one who only always wins.
I really read that as just like a tragic half step of a woman with low self-esteem, because like above average is not an impressive bar. Here's average,
like 51.
Above average, like she said excellent, right? Just say black excellent. She said I'm always above average. That means exactly what did you say? 51. Okay, 51%. That's how I perform in school. Yeah. It's perfectly fine, but you didn't eat with that comment, and you didn't mean to eat because your heart wasn't in it, because your heart can't sell it. That's at the end of the day, the self-esteem is too low for her to really push this narrative of her greatness. She's not compelling because she's doing way too much ass kissing to be arrogant, right? Like she's no Monique straight off the presses or whatever. But she's talking to presumably the producers, maybe Ashley's circle. And they concocted this plan together. But that doesn't have to necessarily be true, but we know that she did raise her connection to Wendy already with Ashley, okay? And somehow it's getting back to Wendy's mom. So what does Wendy's mom do? Somebody already raised it with her separately, and they felt like the matter was not sufficiently addressed then, perhaps because Nneka was continuing to use Wendy's name, whatever. But what is clear is like they're upset because something sinister is afoot. It's not just about name dropping. Something sinister is afoot. We already saw the sinister thing transpire. You literally proved the point. You literally made clear to us that Wendy's mom had very good reason to call your people and say, now have I ever wished bad for you? Okay. Okay. And here's the other thing, right? Because we all know, what's probably going to happen in the pivot that follows this is like one is going to, Wendy maybe, is going to feel compelled to prove herself sufficiently Catholic Christian to beat the fucking charges. And I'm here to say, once again, to remind the viewer, voodoo was the dominant engine in the success of the Haitian Revolution, okay? What is voodoo? Nothing but an African practice, practiced by people who claim proudly their African heritage, okay, in this hemisphere, Haitians. There's a Black American version too. It's called hoodoo. Okay, there's a Cuban version. It's called Santeria. There's a Brazilian version. It's called Candomblé. It's everywhere. Okay, it is everywhere. So, but who's the one who raises the disparaging claim? Robin.
Robin. To a throwback to last episode. Robin Dixon.
Robin goddamn green-eyed Dixon.
Devil.
Like, now I feel embarrassed. There's a couple episodes we were going hard. Like, Robin lives in the world as a Black woman. Black card revoked.
You can't have it.
No, you can't. The thing is, even the phrase that she was like, she was talking like Ashley. Like, now I'm not coming from your culture, but what was she even saying? Aren't Nigerians supposed to, what was she saying? I don't know.
Do Nigerians, is this normal in your culture, your tribal group?
And I've never seen Robin perform so hard.
Yeah.
Usually she's unfazed.
Literally nothing. All Nneka said was, and then her mom calls my cousin. Phone call, bitch. You know, heard of a phone call?
And then, but she also was dropping the threads of the conversation because she's like, "Who called who?" Like, it's like, mom. Wendy's mom called me. Oh.
Okay. Robin can't even be an off-Broadway rascal, okay? If I'm off-Broadway, Robin ain't making it to the audition room off-Broadway, okay? That was so fake. That was so fake. It was so nasty and so Ashley-like. Ashley-like.
Yes. Usually Robin frequently gets gossip about people, and it could be the craziest stuff. It could be, oh, Chris came on to me. It could be, always she's like, oh, you think so?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. She's doing voodoo on you. And then Nneka's like, a hex. That's right. She put a hex on me. And by the way, what was this idiot's evidence of a hex? Because Wendy's mother invokes a shrine. That's how we know you're not Catholic. You think Catholics don't do shrines? We do. Hello, have you seen the tall glass candle with the image of Santa Maria on the front of it? It's a very Catholic. Those go in shrines to the Virgin Mary. A shrine is a very Catholic thing to do. Yes. Not just Catholic, but also Catholic. So it's like you were lit. You were lit to try to catch an invented transgression against the exalted, the one and only Christianity. That's very ugly of you. That is so ugly of you to pounce at the first opportunity to disparage something African.
Right. Which here comes a little African kitty.
Where? In the background? Oh my. I didn't even see his ass walk up. Hello, Achilles. We're talking about your ancestors.
An Abyssinian. An Abyssinian, if you will.
His brother is an Abyssinian.
He leaves on that note.